The federal government has inaugurated a committee to implement the recommendations on reviewing reports and white papers on the restructuring and rationalization of federal government parastatals, agencies and commissions, otherwise known as the Oronsaye report. Now, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, while inaugurating the committee on behalf of the President, stresses that the implementation, which would involve the merger, relocation, subsuming or scrapping of some parastatals, agencies and commission, is aimed at reducing the cost of governance and streamlining efficiency across the governance value chain. Now, President Tinubu's approval for implementing the Oronsaye report is coming 12 years after the panel submitted its report. And for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Professor Charles Wekeaku. He's a professor of New Public Management. And let me just start by saying, forgive me if I've murdered your name.
You didn't murder it, you tried. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So let's start like this. It's been over a decade, multiple committees attempting implementation, including the administration that initiated this whole process.
Jonathan administration.
Exactly. President Goodluck Jonathan, they all fell short. President Muhammadu Buhari, and now it's in the third administration. Can we expect a breakthrough in implementing the Steve Oronsaye report? Will it be a case of a third time being lucky?
Well, I want to thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity you've given me. I think I want to commend the President, President Ahmed Tinubu. It's a wonderful development that he decided to take the bull by the horn by directing that this report be implemented. Of course, the implementation will go a long way in reducing the cost of governance, and that is what we've been crying for. And so it is a wonderful development. He has done well by directing that this report should be implemented.
Why do I feel like there's a but coming in your statement? You say it's a wonderful step, but is there a but?
Yeah, well, the but in the sense that more still need to be done in addition to that, because the Oronsaye report covers parastatals, agencies, and so forth. There are other areas the report didn't cover. You understand? For example, the presidency. I'm not sure it covered the president fundamentally. So the cost of governance, the number of ministers need to be reduced drastically. That is two, it doesn't cover National Assembly. I don't think we need a bicameral legislature at this point in time. We need to reduce the cost of governance there. We can do with a bicameral legislature, whereby we don't have a House of Representatives and the Senate. We can do with one, or an amalgam of that. And beyond that, we can even throw away this presidential system of government because it is unduly expensive to run. So why don't we go for, although some of them require constitutional amendments, unlike what the report covered, but certainly it's a good starting point. This is a good starting point, but we shall go beyond that.
Indeed. So do you agree with critics then who argue that the report, the recommendations in this report are outdated and unsuitable for its intended purpose of streamlining efficiency and cutting the cost of governance, such as the senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, who says is obsolete?
Well, I'm not sure he's right. It is late, 12 years after, but it's better late than never. There's nothing wrong implementing it. People who are implementing it are not robots. They will do that in line with the realities with us. So they have to, as a matter of fact, try to be abreast of the new developments in governance. So I think it is a good thing. It's not right to say that it's obsolete. It's not obsolete.
So how do you then reconcile realities on ground and the
realities on ground is that some of these agencies are made duplication.
Let me make you understand where exactly I'm going to, because you've made some points so far now. So how do you reconcile the realities on ground 12 years after and the commitment of this administration to implement this report? And I ask this because you have also highlighted how this administration has the largest cabinet in recent history in Nigeria. More than 2 previous administrations that failed to implement the Oronsaye report, including President Goodluck Jonathan's administration. So how do you reconcile the realities on ground, the commitment of government, and ensuring that this is not just one of those committees again we're setting up?
Well, as a matter of fact, I think what the administration has adopted is what you call incremental approach to policy making and implementation.
Bits and pieces.
Bit by bit. And there's nothing wrong in starting with the Oronsaye report. As you are through with that, you go into another stage. For example, inward, looking at the presidency, because the presidency is unduly bogus. It needs to be reduced drastically. Okay, when that is done, then you move to the National Assembly, and then drastically reduce. Of course, some of them require constitutional amendment. We'll get there. So I do not expect everything to be done in a one fell swoop. No, it has to be incremental. There's nothing wrong with that. So the moment you start with the Oronsaye report, from there, satellite will be into other areas.
It sure does look like contradictions. Do as I say and don't do as I do. If we have such a large federal cabinet, we have such a large National Assembly, but you're saying, MDAs, you have to slash down. We have to save costs. But, we are okay doing what we need to do. So some people have raised questions about the intent of actually going the long haul. But I wanted to ask you, in assessing the relevance, really and truly, of these recommendations, a committee has now been set up, and they've been given a 12 weeks window and to, come up with implementation and ensure this is implementable. What should they be doing in 12 weeks? What can they do in 12 weeks?
Yes, I think 12 weeks is good enough. Some of them may not have read the report. They use that time to read the report, analyze the report, and then educate themselves on the report, and then come out with implementable strategies. So there's nothing wrong, and that 3 months is good enough. If the people are really competent, they can do that within the period.
When the Federal Executive Council decided to announce this decision by President Bola Tinubu, did you think, because you have said bits and pieces, but did you think that there was something missing, something more they could have done beyond the President and the National Assembly aspects which you have highlighted? What are those things that you expected to see in this bits and pieces implementation we're about to see?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there is a more fundamental issue that this administration should have done, and that is full implementation of 2014 conference report. Because if that, and that is restructuring of the country. If that is done, then you see that development will spring up. You can see today, you can see our exchange rate. You can see the rate of inflation. You can say that nothing is working. And that is not so. This is a country, we're part of it. In the First Republic, the Eastern region was described by the World Bank study as the fastest growing economy in the world. Is there any part of Nigeria worthy to be described that today? Because until you restructure the country, when you restructure the country, there will be competition among the component units of the country. And so people will go according to their pace and do the thing the way they understand. And so people will begin production. What we are doing today is consumption. Every month, the governors will gather and share the money. It shouldn't be so. Production should come first. And that can only be done when you restructure the country. The moment you restructure the country, then whatever you are going to share will be based on what each section contributes to the national purse.
That's taking this conversation to another level, yes. Professor Charles Nwekeaku. Let's take a break. We'll come back and continue this conversation.
Thank you
Stay
so
with
much.
us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Prime Time on Arise News, reaching you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Professor Charles Wekeaku is a professor of new public management, and he's still with me here in the studio. Before that break, thank you so much for staying with us. You were talking about restructuring being the ultimate silver lining to solving the challenges of Nigeria, going beyond improving revenue for the government as they seek to cost of governance.
Yes.
But there are those who will argue that restructuring might just remain a mirage, is far-fetched for Nigeria, because despite the talks and the fiasco around restructuring, it has failed to come to light.
Any person saying that is economical with the truth. What is there? It's not a mirage. It is, look, when people want to confuse Nigeria, they tell you that no person has succeeded in defining restructuring. Look, in a simple term, in Nigeria, we have 68 items under the exclusive list. When we talk of restructuring, reduce these 68 to 10 or 15. That's what we are saying. Instead of federal government handling all these things, move most of them to the component units. I mean, that is restructuring. All these issues in the exclusive list, there are 68.
So why do you think it's so difficult to achieve? We've had the confab, like you said.
Yes.
Why has it been so difficult to achieve?
Because in Nigeria, our system encourages easy money. Easy money. And so a number of people who are in power do not want change. They want to maintain the status quo. This is elitist theory. So the tendency of people who are in power to do everything to maintain the status quo. And that's why nothing is working in this country. So any person telling you that it's difficult to restructure the country is economical with the truth. It is easy to restructure Nigeria. Number one, we have 68 items under the exclusive list. Reduce it to 15. Instantly. Let the component units handle these things. And the moment they start handling it, they start fending for themselves. They start, harnessing the natural resources within the environment. Today, Nigeria depends on oil. See the tragedy. We depend on oil. That oil is drilled for us by foreigners. After drilling it, it shifted to the international market through foreign shipping lines. And when it gets there, it's sold in dollars. So you can see that we do not have direct access to the production. And production, according to Marx, is man's expression of self. That's, you express yourself through productivity. We are not expressing ourselves through productivity. We are like drones. We just wait for people to, we are not refining the oil. You can see you don't have petroleum. How much is a petroleum? 680, 690, some places 700. The sixth largest producer of oil. You don't have petroleum products. We cannot refine. Foreigners will drill it for us. They transport it through their shipping lines. And after that, we shall import. What does that mean? Let me tell you, during the Civil War, 1968, 67, 69, Biafran soldiers refined crude oil. There was no scarcity in Biafra land. How come Nigeria cannot refine oil after many years of independence? Because we encourage unproductive system. And that's why even when we implement this Oronsaye report, if we do not look into our system, because we are using traditional public administration, which is no longer in tune with reality, there's a need to move on to new public management.
Did you just agree that it's not in line with current realities? Did you just agree with those who argue, such as senior advocate Falana?
No. He's coming from another angle.
What angle are you coming from?
I'm saying that the issue he's saying is different from what I'm saying. I'm saying it is good to implement that thing.
However,
but beyond that, we also look to go beyond the application of traditional system of administration, where we rely on bureaucracy. And bureaucracy doesn't believe in anything that is straightforward. Do you understand? Yeah. So now we have to think of new concepts. For example, we have to think of new systems such as anything that reduces waste of time, wastage, bogus government.
Red tape, so, bureaucracy, and all of that. But I wanted to ask you, because you make quite a valid point. When the government says implementing this report will not lead to loss of jobs, is there sincerity in that? And I ask because when you're considering mergers and you're considering streamlining efficiency and subsuming agencies, relocating some and outrightly scrapping others, do you think that the government is sincere when it says, and there will be no loss of jobs?
Yes, there may be no loss of jobs.
Maybe.
It's possible.
How
but
does
there
that
will be
happen?
loss of appointments.
What does that mean?
Yes, it means that by the time you merge these agencies and this thing, you have removed that is numerous board members that are drones of the economy. They are not doing anything. So you have saved the country of numerous political appointees that go in as board members of these agencies. Because, for example, by the time you merge 2-3 agencies, you still have only one board, saving the cost of paying about 30 or 40 other that would have formed that. So you will save money from that up. Then issue of not sacking workers, it is possible if there is serious commitment. It's very, very possible. You can do that.
Let's talk about the timing, because there are those who also say that it has come to stay in Nigeria where we create agencies and departments to create jobs for people. We do know the unemployment figures in the country, and for some reason, it looks like this has worked over the time in government, where agencies, departments are created, bogus names are given, just to get people employed. At a time like this, should we be looking at this report? Is this the right time? Is there a right time for it?
As a matter of when Nigerians talk about creating employment, what they mean is payrolling people. Because when you employ people, there should be something that will keep them busy, and they should be able to produce what you used to pay them. But reverse is the case in Nigeria. So what we are saying is that it is possible to do that. If you want to create employment, what government should do is to provide good business environment that will encourage small and medium enterprises to spring up. Because Nigeria has even adopted small and medium enterprises as the engine of industrialization. But a number of policies are contradictory to that. A number of public policies are contradictory to that.
You're a professor of new public management.
Yes.
And, you know, when I think about all of this and implementing this report, really, I'm wondering, are we not going to be spending money to save money? I ask that because the financial aspect of this, you have to fund the implementation, you are merging agencies and ministries and all of that. You are rebranding.
Yes.
A committee is set up to ensure this happens.
Yes.
We are spending money, aren't we?
I agree with you.
Is there a logic to that? And how expensive is it for us to implement the Oronsaye report?
Yes.
How expensive is it likely to be?
It's not supposed to be expensive if government is serious. If we are serious as a people, it's not supposed to be expensive. For example, if you appoint any person who is working into that committee, he still receives his salaries. As much he can receive sitting allowance. It's not supposed to. Moreover, the time frame is short, relatively short. 3 months, it will not kill. So if government has appointed people with relevant skills and experiences, there won't be much expenses because they are not going to do a new report. It's implementation. But the problem would be if the people who are there are not qualified to be there. You know our usual federal character. You bring in every Tom and Harry and put in there, even those who cannot understand the report. But assuming he has selected good hands, it won't cost much. Whatever it will cost is justifiable.
What measures should be put in place to evaluate the work of this committee and the final implementation, should it happen, Professor?
Well, certainly the outcome, if they are going to do a niche job, is a straightforward case. Merge all these agencies that are doing similar jobs, merge them, streamline their functions, you reduce the cost of government.
Mind you, this is partial implementation of the 800-page report.
Yes. Well, that's why we said that this will help. But fundamentally, what will help this country is outright restructuring. Restructure this country. When you restructure it, every component unit will be serious. Every state will be serious. State will engage in productivity, not distribution. What we are doing now is sharing. Distribution that is the big grammar in Nigeria. Distribution, sharing. But other serious countries are talking of production. We should begin to produce. We are not producing. Foreigners are managing our economy, and it is not good for the progress of this country.
If you are part of a member of this committee,
yes,
what would be your priority? They do have their mandate.
Yes.
But what would be your priority?
Patriotism, selfless service. Do the thing as you see it, what will help this country to move forward, not what will benefit you or benefit your section. Go ahead and implement it as it has been done. I've read that report in the past. It's a beautiful report. And so, if it properly implemented, it will go a long way in helping. But as I said, we should go beyond that. We shall look at the presidency. It's so bogus. The number of ministers should be reduced drastically. We don't need more than 18.
The president said he expanded the number of ministers for efficiency.
No, I think he did it to reward politicians who helped in the campaign. I think that is the justification. That's why he brought all of them. But he should reduce that to no more than 18. Then initiate the process of transferring our bicameral system to unicameral. Let's have one single legislature.
When you say an 18-member federal cabinet, I'm sure there are people who are laughing and asking how is that even possible for the size of the country that we have, and we have a federal character that says that every part of the country must be represented in such appointments. How do you then go about it to having 18?
You can merge. You can merge.
If you merge, how do you represent everybody?
Look, if you merge, you can still represent. We have 36 states, isn't it?
Yes.
Good.
And the federal character says they must be represented.
There's no problem. You can, these 36 states could be reduced into, you merge 2 states, bring 1 minister. 2 states, bring 1 minister. Yes, FCT, you give them 19.
Okay.
We can do that.
Okay, I'm sure this argument will continue, but we have to thank you so much,
and
Professor.
Then National Assembly, you prune it down.
Unicameral. Thank you so much.
And it should be part-time sitting, not full-time. Part-time sitting, you pay them allowance. Okay.
Well, we are in Nigeria, fingers crossed. We never can tell. Anything can happen. But for now, we have to thank you, Professor Charles Wekeaku, a professor of new public management, for being on Prime Time today. We do appreciate your time.